I was at a calling intensive retreat a while ago, and during it the speaker was talking about how we can actually understand our calling oftentimes. At least one of the tools is by looking at the desires that God has put in our heart. And at a small group of 4 guys after that, one of the guys in my small group, a 65 or 70-year-old retired man, said, well, his desire is to fish, and so therefore he thinks his calling is to go fishing 20 hours a day, or a week. And in the group we're all sitting here thinking, I think God has a bigger calling for you than that. And one of the guys asked him a simple question. He said, what is it about fishing that you especially like? What brings you alive? And the man said, well, I grew up as a fatherless child. He said that his father had left him when he was 5 years old, and he had never seen him again. And this is a 65 or 70-year-old man. And he said, as a result, he has a real heart and a compassion for young boys who don't have a father. So whenever he goes fishing, he would take these guys fishing with him, and he'd teach them how to, put a worm on a hook, and he'd teach them how to cast, and he'd teach them how to land the fish. And he said he just loved it. And one of the guys in the group said, well, maybe your calling isn't to be a fisherman, but maybe your calling is to be a father to the fatherless. And this man just started to weep, and we all started to weep. Weep tears of joy, but he realized that's really what God wanted him to do, and that's what really gave him joy and brought him life. A couple months later, he called me up and he said, Sam, I've actually found out my calling is to be an auto mechanic. And he starts laughing, and he says, no, that's not really true. He said, he realized that these boys needed to learn some other skills, and so he decided to teach them how to change a tire on his car, on his truck. And he said that in the previous month, he figures every single tire on his truck had been changed 30 or 40 times. Because all the boys in the neighborhood wanted to learn how to jack up the car and take the tire off and put on another tire. And then he said he started to teach them woodworking, and he's teaching them other things. And he and I both started to weep again, because it was such joy to him to be able to be a father to these fatherless. Well, there's 4 lessons. Sorry about this, but there's 4 lessons I learned from it. One is, God really has put desires on our heart. And what we need to do is sometimes look at our desires and dig beneath them. We need to dig deeper. We're more than just someone who was going to go fishing, but in his case, as he dug deeper, he realized the real desire that God had put on his heart was to be a father to the fatherless. The second way is the only way we're going to learn to dig deeper, the way we're going to learn and see deeper than this, is we need community. We need friends around us who are going to hear our story and ask us questions. A third lesson is that once this guy understood what his calling was, he became much more intentional in his calling. So prior to that, he thought fishing was the main thing, and the side thing was being a father to the fatherless. But eventually he said, being a father to the fatherless is the main thing. And now he's fishing, and he's doing auto mechanics, and he's doing carpentry. And lastly, we have great hope. Something that was very painful to this man, his father abandoning him and growing up without a father, was in his life has now turned inside out and upside down. He now takes great joy in being a father to the fatherless. God was able to take a deep wound, a deep struggle in his life, and turn it into something rich and deep. Isn't that just amazing? Isn't that cool?